try and get these things out of my head, try and express them. And hanging out with these musicians made me crazy, you know. But I think it was better that way, you know. Hanging out with these great players, you know. Sleeping in Guguletu and hanging out with Becky and Saleko, following him around, wanting to hear what is this that the guys are doing, you know. Tony Cedrus's house, the guys confuse me with what they play, but eventually I thank God that today, as my life went on, as I traveled. And for singers, don't be scared to try different kinds of music, because it will just enhance your ability and you just open up your mind and your heart. I mean, the universe is there, you know, there's so much music all over. And even now I got to know good musicians. I mean, a couple of years ago I met Paul. He was a great blessing. Because I could sing with a piano player through the night, sitting from 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. Just jamming, you know, jamming things, trying things, and him writing songs, his stuff, sitting, hanging out all the time, just hanging out with the musos. McCoy, that's when I met McCoy also. And for me it was very dear to meet these musicians, and they're the ones that open up the doors to make me see different things, and when they play, they make me understand different things, and they introduce different things, and when I go visit them at their homes and they play music to me, they make me see different things, and make me understand about our music in South Africa, music all over the world, and how I sing it, and how I must adapt myself as a singer to whatever music is being played, and how I understand it, and how I feel it in my heart, and how I can express what I hear with my voice. Sometimes it's very difficult to do it, you know, but I'm sure we all need to be inspired by somebody. And I must say that Paul has been my inspiration all along. I have to say that because it's the truth. It's been for years now that the songs that he writes and the things that he plays makes me want to sing, you know. And I feel fortunate. I was away for a long time, but I feel fortunate to be here tonight and just sharing with you. And I'm glad that that I'm here with Paul also, and with McCoy and all the musicians. Very great drummer, all the quartet and string quartet. I feel honored to be in this place. I feel honored as a singer to be a part of a setup like this, because it was always a dream for me to come off from the pop stage that I've always been on, you know, and just try and hear what's going on outside, you know. And I heard, and I want the guys to play a little bit. It's something that I do with the recording. It's one song that I'm part of, and we'd like to just play it.
Thanks, Cecil. So, Barry, you might as well stay where you are so that you can do these workshops with you guys. This is Barry Panzer.
Is anybody that's a professional player? One up here, nice to check out.
It's just a cover sheet. This,
Sure.
that chair there is going to remain open because you see there's a second percussion player who unfortunately passed away. No, he died.
No, just like
Yeah, oh.
that was a guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. And so that's why this chair is remaining open. This piece can be dedicated to. You want me there?
Yes, please. Anybody else, if you want to jump on the stage, you can. You don't have to be a percussion player. That's what I like. So, this tune that we just did, by the way, with Cecil singing, the bowroom part that I played, you probably heard the song goes from 4/4 to 4/4, and it keeps shifting. And the pattern up there on the bowroom is in 3. It just stays in 3 all the time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And somehow that pattern works all the way through. When the song goes into 4/4, the pattern starts going over the bars and it resolves every 3 bars it comes back to 1. But we chose that pattern because it kind of smooths the whole piece out rhythmically. Yeah, it's kind of, well, the vibe I was trying to get was, I don't know if you've heard, there's an oud player, I'm not quite sure where he's from, and his name's, what's the dude's name? Rabbi Abel Khalil, something like that. Yeah? And he has a lot of frame drum players with him always. And normally the sound that they get, I'm trying to approximate with this and those Tibetan bells. Normally with the oud players, it's more Middle Eastern percussion that they use, clay drums and frame drums and these kind of things. This is a typical instrument. They have a lot of these jangly, rough sounding things. So I'm trying to approximate that kind of feel for this piece, for the piece we just played. This is actually an Irish instrument, but it's got a nice sound for a frame drum. So that was basically what we were trying to create with that tune. I don't know if anybody's heard, there's a great frame drum player called Glenn Velez, and he does a lot of this kind of thing, you know, where he plays really delicate patterns with different pitches, different pitched frame drums. So that's what it was, and when the thing goes into 4, it becomes quite interesting because then you lose the 1 of the bar somehow, and the pattern that I'm playing becomes the cycle becomes larger. It doesn't resolve every bar. When we start off playing in 3, can you play a bit of that, Paul?
Yeah, play that.
Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Quite clearly. Then once the piece goes into 4, I'm actually playing a pattern in 3/4, but the ensemble's playing in 4/4, so we kind of cross each other. But somehow every 3 bars it comes back to 1. So it would be like this: 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. I'm doing it in 4. 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. bars, it resolves. So that's the piece we just played. Does anybody want to know anything more about it, or about the percussion? Don't all raise your hands at once.
We operating with the, I didn't actually,
McCoy, ask me a question, please. I'm dying here.
I didn't actually see how you were operating those bells, Terry. Was that just hitting them with your foot, or
Yeah.
I couldn't actually see behind?
It's actually a highly advanced instrument, this. This part's broken, right? So I just put it around my foot like that. And then when I wanted to jangle, I just hit my heel on the ground.
Okay, that's pretty
So it's quite complex, I know, but I'll go through it slow.
hard to grasp.
So it's like this: 1, 2, 3. I'm playing the downbeat of the 3 bar. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then when it goes into 4, the downbeat goes all over the place. Now, then it becomes like this: 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So that's the pattern. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a libretto, if I can remember the part that I played when we rehearsed. There were supposed to be 2 percussion players, and we had one day of rehearsals with me and Jethro Shasha, and we were going to combine parts, and we just started working on that. But before we got to the second rehearsal, Jethro got ill and very sadly died on the weekend. So Paul's actually dedicating this piece to him, and we're putting a drum seat up there in memory of him, And I've tried to combine somehow the elements of both of us playing. But anyway, that gives you a better background of what this is all about. If you look at the beginning of the part, or if you look at the 3 pages, you'll see there's very definite sections that it goes through. So whereas the tune we just played, I could come up with a bowrun part that just went throughout. It was a common thread throughout the tune. This one's got different movements, so the percussion has to be adjusted, movement to movement. And I thought of various ideas, but I try to make the percussion part as simple as possible, without too many changes, because there's a lot going on with the rest of the band. It starts off in 6/8, and the percussion actually sets up the tempo and the groove. And then it's got a very sly way of getting from 6/8 into 4/4. So you'll see the beginning of the piece is in 6/8, then there's 8 bars of piano, and then it goes into 4/4. But when we play it for you, you'll hear that shift is very subtle. So I've kept the instrumentation almost the same from the 6/8 piece to the A piece. Call the A the verse. So I start the thing off in 6/8. I go to the verse, which repeats in a way. And then at B, which is on the second page, the whole mood shifts. So there I change instruments. And at one point I thought of trying to catch, you'll see there's a bass clarinet part written there. I think it's a bass clarinet part. That's quite a complex rhythmical line. And I thought of trying to catch that on a floor tom with a mallet and play in unison with the bass clarinet, but we tried that and that was just going to make it sound too, it would have just interrupted the whole piece. So the B part I kept quite straight. Then it goes back into a short version of the verse, and then on the third page it goes back to 6/8. Now when it goes back to 6/8, at C, the outro, that part repeats. There's little section. It repeats a bunch of times. It's a melody, and then there's some solos over C as well. So what I tried to do there was come up with a pattern that was pretty simple, and I could keep it constant all the way through, because those 12/8 bars are a little bit tricky in terms of trying to keep the groove the same. So I figured out a kind of across the bar feel, which captures the 12/8 bars along with the 6/8 bars without interrupting the flow too much. So now that you're all totally confused, I'm just gonna go section for section and show you what I came up with for each section. The percussion setup went something like this. We haven't worked on this bass drum yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was the intro in 6, going into the A part repeated, and we ended now just before the B part. So you can hear that I kept the instrumentation shaker and bass drum, although we went from 6 to 4, and it's quite a smooth transition there from the intro into the first verse. So that's how I approached the verses and the intro. Then we went into the B part, and I tried to make it a bit more of a kind of acrostic groove, capturing some of the accents, but not all. And I also try to build it in intensity from if you see there's B1, 2, and 3, I try to make it more aggressive as I sort of like acrostic weather report kind of feel, you know, style. Weather report's a band in the 80s. Cool. Yep. Okay. We did the music. Count the tempo. 1, 2, 3. so from there, you could hear the B section. I was a little bit folding in my playing there, but it was supposed to build in intensity from 1, 2 to 3, and not fall about the place like it did. But anyway, that's the B section. Then it goes back to the verse, where I go back to the shaker and kick drum. Then when I lay it out there on that downbeat is where it goes back from 4/4 to 6/8. So after much debate, we decided to leave 2 bars free there. And Paul sets up the 6/8 groove over again. Or can you go from the coda, right, from the 6/8? Or should we do 2 bars into it? 76 or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So now we're going to do the last 3 bars of the second stage. 2, 3, 4. We'll get there. It gets better. Okay. Now let's just go on the 6/8 part.
On this intro.
When you set it up.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. But that's the idea. That rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kind of
was the one way I could get around playing the same pattern throughout the piece without pausing on the 12/8 bars. So those are the sections. Does anybody want to ask me anything?
You want me to ask you?
Yes, please. I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer you, but you can ask.
How long have you been working on this stuff?
It's been about 4.5 years now, I think. No, we started working on this about 10 days ago. Not every day. I think we've had 2 days of rehearsal, 2 whole days, you know. And yeah, so that's how long we've been working on it.
How long does it take to get it good?
I'm just thinking of I'm thinking of a clever answer. But well, most of the time, what I do is I play drum set, and the whole concept behind this album is to not have a conventional setup of drums, bass, guitar, and piano, which is the way we've played a lot together, you know. And when me and Paul work in a bunch of other situations together as well, it's normally in that format of like a conventional rhythm section. And the whole attraction of this project is to try and not approach it like somebody that's playing a drum set, but approach each instrument as a separate thing, instead of just playing kick drum, snare drum, hi-hats. So what I'm saying is, it's actually a departure for me. This I don't usually get the chance to approach things this way. I normally play drum set, so that's why. No, talking myself into a corner. I'm trying to make excuses why I couldn't quite get that last part together.
You're missing the bassist or not?
No. But this is okay. What I'm trying to say is this is highly challenging to do.
Yeah. So that's feeding in a bit.
Fully, yeah. Those things have. Yeah. Definitely. Wherever I can, you know. But I mean, a lot of the time I'm just booked as a drummer, and then it's just playing drums, which I love as well, you know. But this is the most challenging thing I've done. I think I'm out of time by now. Thanks, David. Thanks everybody for.
So now, I'm lucky to talk to you from the audience. I was just understanding for the 2 years. It was the beginning of '96 that I started coming up with an A part. And I'm very happy to say that the first few months of this year, I've managed to work on the piece and extend it. And you notice all the entry points for each different instrument are marked on that score, which is basically a treble bass score for piano. It so happens, and I'm very disappointed about this, that Kaya Mahlangu is not going to play the bass clarinet with us because he finds the part too complex. He's a beautiful tenor sax player and soprano player and flute player and composer, and he's got a deep knowledge, but he feels this piece is just beyond him in terms of intonation on his horn. So that's going to be an added challenge for me, because now the bass line that he's talking about in the B section and at the end section it goes round and round. I have to play it. So I'm actually very disappointed about that. And Abre te sesamo, I don't know if any Portuguese speaking people have. This is Pretoria, no? So Abre te sesamo is actually, it means open sesame, but I think it sounds a lot nicer in that language. And the idea for that name was actually given to me by another percussionist, Romeo Avelino. He's from Maputo, and he's a half-breed of a lekker mixed stew. So I mean, he's got relatives of every shade under the rainbow. It's wonderful. And he talks a lot of cuck, you see. So he told me something in 2006 and it was very funny and he ended up, I said, excuse me? I have to name his piece then. But the only thing is I didn't invite him to come and play with me. But it's fine. So I imagined I imagine I'm carrying forward an idea which was given to me maybe 9-10 years ago. Around about the time I met McCoy and Bobata and Cecil Mitchell, I was living opposite another piano player called Denzel Wheel. And he said to me I should try and realize my pieces for bigger ensembles and make more definite arrangements out of some of the work. So whereas a lot of music that I've written has been of a very simple format, AAPA or things like that. And the whole structure is improvised on, and the intro becomes an outro and like a vamp. So it's all the same structure, basically song form, whatever. Like AAPA, whatever. So most of them are that simple. And with this piece I tried to grow it a bit. Also with Domini 7. The ideas for Domini 7 have been around since 1989. And the string parts are quite new. The baron part is very new. The idea to get 2 vocalists is very new. Because I wanted to sound like monks. And the structure of this piece, Abre Pese d'Amor, is the fact that the B section harmonically relates to the C section. Because they both start out in the key of D flat minor. So, that's the B section. And then the C section goes. And ideas for the A section, it's melodic. I was going out with a woman who is a dancer, and we were trying to rehearse it together. And so that's how those themes came up, because we were trying to improvise together. And the B section, I don't know, just developed out of itself. And I also decided to shift the tonality of the end of it. Like, say for instance, B section 1, right? third time round it goes, so I can arrive back on this A, this F suspended. And to go into the E flat major part, which is marked in the margin. So still part of the A part, but instead of D flat, it's E flat. For instance, the cello, there's a solo cello as well. I mean, an added cello, besides the string quartet. And he plays some important subsidiary voices. And along with McCoy on soprano saxophone, he takes the melody of the outro, the C section. Why did I talk about that? Oh yes. At bar 76, he's actually playing in 3/4. Even though the bars are going by in 4. He's playing 4 bars of 3/4, so it goes. Back into the intro. So I think I've waffled enough, and also that I have to tell you that. It's very sad to lose a very dear friend, Jethro Shasha. And besides anything else, just to be together with people is exceptionally special. And that's the main thing why I also enjoy having all these crazy people here, because it's so much fun. The publishing money from this song is going to be pledged to his family, his descendants, and his wife Sheila. And that's why I'm very disappointed also that Kai is not here, and he felt he couldn't do justice to this part. But we're going to do it anyway, we're going to try it. So if you would care to stay, in your view, after, I think we're going to have a break, around about 8 or so to eat something. And I don't think there's enough to go around, it's just for the position. You're most welcome to stay and listen to what happens with this piece. Because we're going to set up and see Ken's set up so we're going to Corey's going to do it. We're going to try this piece with the setup we got here and see what it sounds like. Okay, thanks very much. Yellow.
Hij was goed.
Thank you.
Goed. Very good.
When were you here? No, man.
Yes. Intentional.
We need a phone. Lend in your phone. You have to get that bass down and play it. Okay.
This is the lekker, man.
What?
It's very lekker.
What?
Why do I have so hard, man? What do you do? Yes, get shy. You don't got me. This looks like my over the head.
I heard.
I feel like it was Caesar. Why do you understand?
I know, man. I realize people don't know it. No,
What gives to this? Just help me. So there's no trouble to let
how are you guys? I know you're trying to be
But if his mother tells him, if he shows his mother, then he'll say no.
First come here? Show me again. 4.
Tell them.
4.
Please tell them we're going to play.
Show me again. 3.
Fiquei bravo, né?
I don't put it on.
I put mine on. All those men put jersey on. No, you can always put jersey.
1.
It was good, Barry.
This is Barry van Zyl, CNN, University of Pretoria.
Seeing it live here from the action.
Yeah, it was cool. I can't pronounce the name of this place. I was trying to, but
Museion, come.
Museion. What kind of stupid name is that?
Well, ask the people who've designed it.
Becca was in die business.
What is this name?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I think in the place supposed to be a big time.
So was Boinke.
Thank you. Red, yeah. Fish and chicken.
Real.
It's just because I haven't been doing anything for like 4 hours, you know, so it's like... Yeah. No, what is your experience? Are you ready?
Those papers are there.
That's a lie.
It's a semblance of a set.
Are you making horrible insinuations here?
No. So you see this is a lie.
the next piece we're going to play for you is one called Blow to the Head. And it's actually on McCoy's first album that he's done as a solo artist. And that album's called Firebird. And the reason I actually met McCoy was because he needed material for his album. And I was brought to him by a mutual friend. Who's going to join us later on the program this evening. So, a blow to the head. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.